good stuff today.
Doing a lot of stuff.
Who's in bold in here? Your hand didn't go up. So these guys have got to be excited now because bold is what?
Over.
Over. Or is it?
Not over.
Or is it? Yeah.
Classes are over.
Never over.
Yeah. In fact, Shad and I just had our coaching department this morning about bold. Tell them what you said that you wanted to maintain in our coaching. What, like one of your big goals in coaching is to
Keep
maintain.
the contacts, 20 contacts a day.
Keep it going, right? Keep the momentum going and all that. Yeah, and then I walked out there to give him a lead because he was on the list and somebody came in and I walk out in the front of the building and he's standing there and he's got like 5 people from Cyan around him and he's asking him for business. He's like, it's great. And the guy's going, we don't even live here, man. He's like, so? What?
Where do you live?
It was awesome. It was really awesome. It was
Hey,
great.
don't mess with Cyan. Those are all my people.
Yeah.
Oh, they are. I didn't really. Did you get them shirts or something?
Hey, Timo thinks they're all his
They-
people too,
Yeah.
so.
What else? Oh, Timo thinks so?
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
difference is I've actually sold a bunch of them.
Oh, that's funny.
No,
Okay,
I'm
so
just kidding. Of course.
don't forget about this. Jill's not here to call your phones today, but Andrew might do it. There's a class coming up this Friday. It's been emailed out a bunch of times, but I know a lot of times emails get skipped over. It's called Running Your Business Like a Business. It's with Bob Kalinske, and I've been to that class twice. And the class is amazing. I'm going to put this on really quick. I'm going to grab you guys some flyers while it's playing. This is Dick Dillingham. He's one of the owners of the region here. He teaches FSO. Anybody in here met Dick?
He did Quantum Leap.
Yeah, isn't he awesome?
Yeah, he's good.
Guy's amazing, right? So he's just telling you a little bit about why you should care about going to this class. It's going to be in San Ramon, and there's some people going from the West office as well. So you might want to, well, we can facilitate a carpool. And by the way, what I mean by facilitating a carpool, if you guys want to ride down there together, we will give you a copy of the list of the people who are going, and you can call them if you want to ride. We're not going to like do the whole, hey, so-and-so has 9 spaces. And
Meet up at Starbucks.
yeah, but we will give you the list of people who are going. Let me get this thing going here. You might have to call Andrew in
And it's
here.
this very Friday coming up?
It's this Friday. I know it's short notice, but it's worth it. This class especially. You guys know that I would never, like they want the team leaders to support all of the education that is always going on. You guys know that like a lot of it, I don't tell you guys to go to. Not that you shouldn't want to go to it, but I pick the stuff that I think is going to be the most valuable for your businesses and your lives and your lead generation. So I promise you guys I will never tell you that you should go to something that you won't get a ton of value from.
I think I looked at it, it was $89, I think.
Yeah, this is one of those classes. However, basically, he's telling you should go. He doesn't do that either. He doesn't try to get people to go to stuff. You don't see videos from him all the time about go to this class, go to that class. It's totally worth your time. If you can go to it, go to it. Let us know in the West if anybody from here is going to go, and we'll help you guys get together on rides. The weekly practice management tip in here, I'm going to give you the Reader's Digest version of it. Here's the deal. If you're writing an addendum in a contract, and you need that addendum to be responded to in a timely manner, in the last of the clauses that you put in the addendum, put a timeout clause in it. Okay? Because if you don't, the addendum lasts until the deal is over. And there's a lot of times when that happens, like you said, like let's say you got the buyer and you're at the end of your 17-day inspection period and something's going on, you send an addendum over there asking for some stuff, and then seller doesn't respond, they're sitting on the addendum, inspection period's over, they're sitting on it for 5 or 6 days, and then they get another offer for more money, and what do they send you? Do they sign your addendum? No, they send you a 24-hour notice to perform, and they say, no, we're not signing your addendum. So you want a timeout clause, especially in a market like this, on requests for repair and things like that, because if you don't have it on there, they can sit on it for as long as they want and not send you a notice to perform while they're waiting for something better to come along. And that's what happened here, and that's what he was basically saying.
There's a timeout on the request for repair.
Yeah, but if you're using an addendum and stuff like
How
that.
do you put on addendum though?
Yeah, what's the
date?
verbiage?
I mean, what's the?
So the verbiage, well, really, you can just copy it from the counteroffer.
Or the request for repair has the same verbiage.
Yeah, request
Copy it
repair has
on
the
there.
same verbiage. You can, but basically you put it on here, this addendum shall be deemed revoked unless by blank PM on blank day after signed below by the maker, it is signed by the seller or buyer to whom it's sent, and a copy of the signed addendum is personally received by the person making it, or to agent name, right? All that stuff is at the, something similar to that is on the bottom of the request for repair and the counteroffer forms. And that's why, so if you have something time sensitive, don't be afraid to put a timeout in it.
Well, and don't you think most of the time you should be using a request for repair anyway, rather than?
Oh, absolutely. That was probably a bad example of an addendum,
Yeah.
okay? But yeah, if you're doing repairs, use request for
Or
repair.
credit, not just repairs, credit too.
Credit for repair, that kind of stuff.
Anything, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You should use a request for repair. There are other scenarios where an addendum would be in play that could cause that same thing to happen that you wouldn't use a request for repair. What are some of those?
So often addendums are used inappropriately.
Extension of escrow,
Absolutely, yeah.
extension of escrow,
Yeah.
extension of a contingency period, well, no, because those are both on a different form.
Those are ETA.
But that's just it, nobody uses the right forms, they all
Yeah.
use an addendum.
Right. Why do brokers not like addendums?
Because they're written by agents.
Exactly. No, that's exactly why.
Because you-
Most of the time when you
we
get
don't
an
know how to
addendum with a
write.
bunch of stuff written on it, it's somebody practicing law
Yeah.
who doesn't have a license to do that. You're putting legal, you're trying to make legal, have you ever read someone? It's good for a laugh to sit and review the broker files and read some of the addendums that get written by people. You're just like, really? Wow, this is so ambiguous. It can mean anything.
Yeah.
You know? So,
But if it's written by a lawyer, don't laugh.
yeah, exactly.
It was
So
written by
I
a
thought
lawyer,
you-
it wouldn't fit on one addendum.
Yeah, that's true. All right, so I'm gonna skip forward to, I'd like the people who were in bold, Charles, Shad, Rick, who else was in bold in here? Hmm?
Oh, that was 4 years.
No, no, this last bold, I mean, yeah, come on up here real
Are you
quick.
doing it again?
Yeah, did it, done.
Good job.
I'm gonna skip forward in the slideshows of that, and then we'll come back to what I was gonna do, yeah, come on up.
We're gonna have a hazing of the bowl.
Yeah, we're gonna give them all spankings.
I think,
No, it's-
actually, I think those two guys should, I don't know if they have much to add.
No, yeah, you do.
Okay, fine.
So first of all, these are out of the 14 people from our company who went to bowl, these are the 13 people that graduated. Fermina Scutia, Melissa Henry, Timothy Fawcett, Drake Dalzell, Yarrow Kubrin, Kelly Dale Lyles, Ellison Johnson, Charles Collum, Elizabeth Myers, Rick Warner, Barton Smith, Michael Falk, and Shad Cloney. And I wanted, before these guys talk, these are the overall results. Move towards me just a tiny bit. These 13 people took 20 listings, this is a 7-week program, 20 listings, total buyers and sellers, so total deals under contract in escrow, 41. And the total number of contacts made, can you guys read that number? 6,894 contacts. So the other cool thing about that is the deals under contract, when you do the math, it's like 3.15 deals per person in the 7 weeks in bold. So I think that's awesome. These guys work for it. I thought maybe we'd start on this side over here with Charles. Tell us a little bit about your bold. Like, give us the number one aha that you got from bold, and what your plans are moving forward with what you learned.
Number one aha is that making cold calls is no big deal.
Mhm.
It's nothing, there's nothing to it, you know, it's no harder than eating breakfast in the morning. I like eating breakfast in the morning.
Awesome.
So I mean, that was the number one. The number two was that as easy as phone calls are, I much prefer talking to people face to face.
Yeah, so how do you make that
I had
happen?
much better, well, sometimes you don't even have to. If somebody walked up to my house today to sell my wife's books, tells me that he's gonna sell his house a block and a half down the street from him.
Mhm.
2-story Victorian, it's a beautiful house. Anyway,
Awesome.
they're just everywhere, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, there's people everywhere out on the streets, you can talk to them.
When's your appointment with them?
Next Wednesday,
That's awesome.
yeah,
Very cool. And I'm glad he asked that, because what's the goal of contacts?
appointment.
Make an appointment. Absolutely. Shad, what about you? Biggest aha, and then what you can do?
Well, the
for
class
more?
taught me how to work, you know, I mean, it's pretty, that, as basic as that, you know, just
Mhm.
lead generating and getting a plan, and then it kind of gave me, like I said, after the last meeting, it gave me the confidence to, I can, you know, go whichever direction I want with my business. If I want to go this low.
What do you mean by
high.
that? Like, why did you need that to determine your own direction?
Because it gave me the inspiration, it gave, you know, it's a mindset, basically, right?
Okay.
So now I know that, you know, if I want this, I can go get it. If I wanna,
I-
if I wanna,
You want more business,
if I want
it's
more
out there
business,
waiting
I
for
can
you.
go get it. It's not like, oh, who has what realtor has the best technology, you know,
Right, yeah.
it's just that, we're all kind of, it's the same, you know?
Mhm.
It's whoever wants it can go get it. That's what I
Right.
kinda got from it.
That's awesome. You mentioned
Yeah.
something to me in coaching today, when you were talking about the difference between getting, reload leads and leads from the company versus going out and getting it yourself. Talk about that a little bit. Tell me what you mean by that with Bold and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah, well, I mean, in my other company, I was getting a lot of leads from their sources. Keller, here I have to do more, lead generating on my own, but
Mhm.
which is, can be more of a referral, more local business,
Mhm.
I'm more in control of how I want it to go, how I
Right.
want it to run.
Awesome,
You
very
know?
cool. So when you go get your own leads, when you're responsible for the amount, what I hear you saying is, when you're responsible for the amount of leads that you get, you're kind of responsible for the amount of business that you do. And once you learn how to do that, you taught you how to work, you said,
Yeah.
right? Once you learn how to do that, it's kind of like you have this dial in your business, you can turn it up and down when you need to. If all of a sudden your lead conversion percentage is at 5%, so go dial up your number of leads.
Right.
So that your number of deals comes back to where you need it to, right? That kind of thing.
It's not rocket science,
Right.
you know?
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So, and what's your plan moving forward?
My plan moving forward is to keep the 20 contacts going,
Mhm.
and do some more coaching. I
Awesome.
want to have a coach, because I think that's very important to be coached.
Mhm.
Where I didn't know the importance of that before.
Yeah.
So now for me, it's gonna be very important to have a coach. There's some accountability
Mhm.
and keep the contacts going, and
Awesome. Very cool.
I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. How about you, Rick?
Well, I was thinking about, because Shad, I mean, everybody did great in Bold, but Shad and Barton, to me, just completely grabbed onto this thing. Like, it was a life-changing, you could watch it happen, and it's so fun to watch that, where somebody goes from not knowing and just kind of hoping the business happens, and, to being absolutely purposeful about what they're doing and focused on activity versus results, knowing that the results will come when the activity is taken, right? And so I think that's very cool, and I was listening to him talk about, I think, or at least the picture I got was, when you're there's other companies that do give you leads, but you're kind of like a little bird like a baby bird in a nest, and you're just hoping that, the mama bird comes and drops a worm in your mouth, and maybe it's
That's
a
a
good
great
worm, maybe
analogy.
it's not, right?
Yeah.
But you're like a baby bird, you can't leave the nest, and that's it, you're not empowered at all, right?
Right.
Whereas when you go to Boulder, you take on that initiative to do it yourself, that it's like you're flying out of the nest. You can go anywhere you want. You're your own, you are the predator. You get to go out and create your own business, and that's pretty exciting. It's
Yeah.
very empowering, right?
Right.
And that was my experience 4 years ago when I took it for the first time.
Mhm.
My experience this time was a little bit different in that I work too much. I don't want to say I have too much business, but I kind of have too much, and I need to learn how to manage it so that I can hire the right people, get a team. So that was my focus, was more mindset. How do I not burn out? How do I not blow up? And so.
Awesome, awesome. And so everybody in here who hasn't been to Bold thinks of Bold as this crazy psycho camp that you go to where they shove you into like a cage and make you call people.
That's true.
Kind of.
That is true.
So other than that, and yes, they do that, by the way, but other than that,
But-
you
but
got
you
some other
look
stuff
like
out
a
of it
cage.
this time. So talk about like, what did Bold bring to you as far as what you need in your business right now, which is, organization, clarity, leverage, that kind of stuff.
I mean, I think it's always great to be reminded of the purposefulness of, that I don't have to let the tail wag the dog, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
That's how I behave, but that doesn't have to be that way.
Right.
And so, it's good to like be in a place where, there's so many people in there that do way more business than me, and they work less than me,
Mhm.
and they're happier than I am. Where I can go, okay, that's what I want. I want that,
Right. Right.
So in that respect, that was probably
Mhm.
the thing where it's like I have this sense sometimes where I'm like, I'm too busy. I don't know how to make it stop.
Right.
I'm overwhelmed, and the truth is, I don't have to feel this way.
Yeah, you're too busy to fix it.
Right.
Yeah, you just gotta keep going, too busy to fix it.
Yeah, exactly. And so, and just knowing that, and I'm a baby, you know, when it comes to what a lot of these guys are doing in terms of how much business they have and all that. So it's good to have that, I think, to know that I don't have to feel this way.
Yeah, isn't that funny about a business like yours where you're cranking and your hair's on fire and you don't have time to do the things you need to do to make it what you want it to be, you just have to kind of keep up, you kind of feel like a lot of times?
Yeah.
And if you think of your business as a machine, what's the fuel for a real estate business? What's the fuel for your business?
Lead gen.
Leads, right? So if you, once you gas up that tank, that gives you the time, it gives you the time and the money, right? To start to take the steps in your business to fix the other pieces of it, the leverage that you need leverage, right? And that's what I hear you saying, right? You are everything in your business. You're the accountant, you are the lead generator, you're the listing agent, you're the buyer's agent, you're the HR person, right? You're the top salesperson, and you're the CEO of your business, right? You've got too many hats on.
Yeah.
And at the level that you're doing business, you gotta have somebody else wear some of those hats,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And so in Bold, that's a big piece of the mindset and stuff in Bold that you get from that. But the bottom line is, the fuel for it, if you don't stop for gas, you'll never make it to the destination, and the gas is leads.
Yeah.
You have to, and a lot of us don't do that, right?
Yeah.
They go to work, and you're doing the tyranny, you're keeping up with the tyranny of the urgent. Has to happen. Has
How
to
does
be
that
done.
same class dissect two people like you though? You guys are going with the same thing. Are you separated in a different area or it's all the same?
No, because it
How
is
does
the
that
same.
help you?
I would say, you know, I mean, the reality is that we all still need to do the same thing. And a lot of what they talk about in there is mindset stuff. In other words, how do you perceive life? You know, the way you change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change, right?
Yes,
That's one of the
absolutely.
bold laws. And so a lot of, I think, what we do in there, there is definitely a lot of lead gen stuff. They are, you know, what do we do?
Scripts.
Half an hour of phone calls, there's
Those.
some practicing scripts and all that stuff, but a lot of it is mindset. How do you look at stuff? How are you perceiving lead gen? Like he made a great, like Charles talked about, I have a different perspective on doing lead generation. I like to do it just like breakfast, or I like to eat breakfast, or whatever it was. It's just a change of how you perceive things. So,
Well, and
I
the
mean,
other part
That's
of
the
it,
main thing, right? That's like the biggest part of the class. Is
I think so. I think the
For me,
mindset is
that's what it
probably
was.
bigger. It's all huge,
Yeah.
but I think that all starts with having a different perspective on how you feel about going out and doing any of those things, whether it's, because I know the first time I went to Bold, I didn't want to do scripts. Are you kidding me? I'm not gonna do scripts. Look at me.
Yeah.
You don't need a script.
I don't need a script.
I'm really good.
Right, and
I know what to
I'm
say.
the queen of good is the enemy of great, right? Like I have a little bit of talent, and so that basically keeps me from being great because I'm resting on my little bit of talent. Whereas scripts can make me great, right?
Right.
Being held accountable to doing 20 contacts a day can make me great, or whatever.
Yeah.
So
Consistent
part of
hard
it
work.
too, I think, is that it's your business and you control it. You set the goals, and those goals control your business. You don't do as much business as you can possibly do. You do the business that you want to do. You don't take every lead that comes in if you're
What is it that gives you the luxury not to take every lead that comes in?
having enough leads.
Yeah, abundance,
You know,
right?
so you don't have to talk to some guy who's a total jerk on the phone.
Or is unwilling to be reasonable and.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Um,
that's awesome. Bold, I've heard this from a bunch of different people, and I felt this when I went. Bold breaks you down first, so that you're open to what you end up learning the last 3 weeks or 4 weeks of it. The first 2 weeks is kind of a breakdown. Did you guys feel that?
gotta have a breakdown before you have a breakthrough, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Allison said that. I hired Allison Johnson from CPS. She's one of the graduates. She's in the Santa Rosa office, and she came to us at about $5 million a year in production. And she told me in her recruiting appointments she wanted to be pushed. So I got her in coaching with me and everything, and I'm like, and you have to go to Bold. And so she wrote the $800 check, and she went to Bold. And for the first 2 weeks, about every 2 days, she would call me, tell me how much she hated it and how she was gonna leave Keller and go back to CPS. And she was serious. No, she was serious.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the only reason she stayed is because Kelly Dale Lyles also came from CPS at the same time, and Kelly didn't feel that way about it. Kelly wanted to be pushed, but he knew what he was in for, and Allison didn't. And she had one of the biggest breakthroughs there as far as her business and what's going on. You should see her stand-up prospecting desk that she has in there. And she hits the phone. I go to work at 8 o'clock in the morning, those two are already there.
Mhm.
And they're the only two besides me in that office at 8 o'clock in the morning, ever. And it's because the leads are the fuel for their business. I don't know, I just think, and a lot of it for them was mindset as well. You know, coming out of that whole, you know, the other piece of it, which is, we're gonna give you leads, a really good broker is gonna like feed you. And by the way, when they feed you, do they ever feed you a lot, or just, is it just kind of enough to get by?
I have no idea, I've never worked for a place.
So I have, and what it was leads, like, I'm not gonna pass a business, so I'll take leads. The leads cost money, but they also, if you rely on them, and you rely on floor time, and you rely on, relo and that kind of stuff, it's never enough to really have what it is you really want in your life and in your business. It's just enough to get by. And they don't mean to do that, it's just they give you that as, it's supposed to be a supplement to your business.
Yeah.
But like Social Security, it's become a mainstay of a lot of people's businesses, and so they just barely get by, and they're handcuffed to the broker, right? Doesn't that feel like that? I mean, I don't know, you
That's
just.
how it felt like, now that I'm looking back at it. You know, you
Yeah.
didn't wanna leave because it felt like you had all these connections.
I know one of the biggest things you talked about was like the reload stuff. You have
It was
good
hard
reload
for me to let
stuff,
that
all
go,
this
'cause
kind of
I was
stuff
on all their
when you were talking about
systems.
coming here.
Where did
But-
that come from?
Cola banker,
Yeah,
but now
yeah.
that
It's
now
good
that I
company,
left,
nothing wrong with it, it's
it's
just,
nice to be able to do it on my own, like you said, like Rick said.
yeah.
You know, you're able to, you're your own person now.
Yeah.
And that's hard to do, it's like living at home with your parents, right? Like, it's hard to
Exactly
move out.
right, I was just thinking this.
It's hard to move out, you know? 'cause
Yeah. I got a few.
Boo.
Yeah, fine.
Cook meals.
This other class.
But
you know,
then you move out.
the
You can
most
invite your
important thing
girlfriend
is
over
to
anytime.
What'd you say?
Oh, no, I just said he can invite his girlfriend over anytime now that he has his own
Yeah,
place.
that's true. So that's your place. Don't bring her
That's
here.
good.
Which coincidentally, when he was at Coldwell Banker, he was still living at his folks' house.
Charles, you just said something about class.
I just said that it's like this other class that's coming up. Until you realize that it's a business and that your job is a businessman, and you've got to see what does my business take, what your business takes is leads, of course, but it's your business to make all the decisions, you know,
Yeah.
and that's what if you realize that, then you're gonna work to make your business work.
And let me ask you a question about that. So let's say your job is the CEO job. It's the 30,000-foot view of your business. It's the general battle commander view of the battlefield, right?
Right.
But you guys are where every day? In the trenches, right? So when you're down here like this and you're fighting these people right here, do you really see what's going on out there? Do you?
No, but.
You have to step back,
stop
right?
and see it.
Yeah, and it forces you to do that.
Because if you don't do that, your business runs you,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
which means that
And you
nobody's running the business.
Yeah, and you have no strategic plan. Your plan is get more,
Right,
work harder,
right.
stay in the office longer,
And you
go
end
to
up-
work
And you end
earlier.
up where Rich is.
Don't take the weekend off with the family, right?
But
Yeah, it all sounds like a great plan.
Awesome. You guys have any questions for them about Bold?
No, thanks.
Cool, thank you guys very much. And way to go, way to go, Bold.
Yeah, I think so.
Do you have a date for this?
So Bold,
Do you have a date?
spring 2015, no date yet. I'm gonna give you guys a date when I have 50 pre-registrations. When we pre-register 50 for the spring Bold, it's $100 a piece to pre-register. And if for some reason we don't get 50, of course you get your $100 back. It's $100 a piece to pre-register, and then you pay the balance before we have it. But once we're pre-registered, it goes to MAPS Coaching. They give me a date for spring in the wine country. It'll be awesome. And just like the out-of-town Bolds are great for referral relationships with Palo Alto agents and Burlingame agents and stuff like that, the in-town Bolds are gonna be great for what?
Meeting
Bring other
those
agents
agents.
over.
Bringing other agents over from other local companies, because we don't recruit there, and there was a ton of agents, well, there was quite a few agents in the Bold that were not from Keller Williams in Palo Alto. And so it's a safe place for people to come and get that kind of value and it allows us to walk the talk. In that regard, yeah, it's a recruiting opportunity, because it's a soft recruiting opportunity. We get to just show them who we are instead of trying to tell them who we are, right? So having Bold here in the spring is gonna be great for you guys and your profit share and your downlines. And also, you'll still be able to set up referral relationships, because we're gonna get people from Yuba City here, for sure, because I've already called them about it. And we're gonna get people from Palo Alto and Burlingame, because we supported theirs, so they're gonna come up and do it up here with us. So it'll be a fantastic thing to do. In the next couple of weeks, you're gonna get an email blast from the staff. I know you guys read every single one of those. So we'll try to put in the subject line, Bold Spring 2015. So read that one, because that's gonna give you the details on how to pre-register for Bold, okay? We'll set up an Eventbrite to pre-register for Bold. There's a couple things coming up I want you guys to know about. Suzanne's doing who in here uses Suzanne to do any of their listing marketing? Great stuff, yes?
Yep.
Awesome stuff. She's gonna teach a class at 10 o'clock on Wednesday, tomorrow, in the Santa Rosa office. I know you're smiling.
No, I was kicking Sean.
Oh, you were kicking him? Okay.
Yes.
I thought you were smiling, because when Suzanne teaches, she's got this way about her that
Oh, yeah.
people who don't know her are kind of like, whoa. Yeah, but
Yeah.
I like it. I think she's really good. She's kind of like,
When you first meet her, when I asked Rick when I started, she was kind of like abrasive and cold and stone-faced.
yeah.
But she grows on you, and it's just like,
Yeah.
after the first, you just brush it off.
Yeah,
nothing wrong
and
with it.
she's
You just
she's awesome at what she does.
Are you
Right.
gonna tape that one since we're on tour?
Huh?
You know what, I
Yeah, we'll
thought-
tape it. We're gonna tape it, for sure.
I asked her if she would redo it, and she would do a group session here next Tuesday.
Sweet, we're gonna have her come down here.
If
Thank you. Will you make
Yeah.
sure that I?
So is anyone interested in doing that, like, after
Yes.
this meeting?
Yes,
Cause there was like 4 or 5 topics on there that I thought, I'm like, oh, well, we need to know that.
yeah, we just can't.
I've actually been to that one before in Santa Rosa. It's
You
really
have?
good. A lot,
Yeah.
a lot of stuff you wouldn't
Awesome.
know that.
Like the
internet stuff.
the KWLS thing, I want to know about that, and there was
Yeah.
a few things, so.
There's a couple of things, like if you don't put your property in KWLS before it goes to
Right.
Barry's, then you lose some of the functionality of KWLS.
And we have some kind of relationship with Zillow and Trulia, right?
Yeah, so here's the deal. Keller Williams, because we believe it's your listing, your lead. Keller Williams, we're the biggest real estate company on the planet, and when Zillow was all about, we're gonna put the listings up, hey, Keller Williams, we need your permission to put the listings, your listings up on Zillow. Gary Keller and the group said, we'll only do that if you display the actual listing agent's name and contact information on that listing. And we were the only company to hold to that.
She teaches you how to do that.
So we have that agreement with them, but it only works if you get your listing in KWLS before it goes into Barry's. So then you need to, which is a pain. But we're working with Norbar on HubSpot and stuff like that too, and the different MLSs on HubSpot. Once we have HubSpot, you'll have one point of entry and it'll auto-populate everywhere with the right timing, so it'll still work. Okay, but right now you gotta put it in KWLS, then go put it in Barry's, then go back to your KWLS listing and type in the MLS number that it gives you. Or you could save it as incomplete in Barry's and use that number, because that number is good for however long, like
45 days.
45 days, something like that, yeah. So do it like that. The McCall Team Mastermind at 8 o'clock in the east. I know you guys, I know it's far, it's totally worth your time to go to it. I wanna start one here. So it's been huge what they're doing here, and we need one here. So I'm gonna talk to a few of you guys, ALC and stuff like that, about potentially facilitating something like that here. But if we can't find an ALC member, we'll find somebody to do it. And then this running your business like a business class, especially for what you just said you need, you gotta be there. You just gotta go to that class.
I don't have time.
Exactly.
You can take me off the Tuesdays too, that's just not happening.
Okay. Well, then maybe somebody else facilitates a mastermind at that time.
No, it would be good if it was on Thursday, the same time, as opposed to Tuesday morning.
Okay, but for now, don't plan on the 8:45 power hour. We already went over the broker, we already went over that. So the piece that I want you guys to know about Bold, and my takeaway on this thing, and also with coaching a lot of agents in our office and in other offices when I've been team leader in Yuba City and stuff, is this is what always happens. What happens is you get a small contingent of people that'll go to the first to Bold if you really push it and you really talk them into it. And then they kind of go and they become advocates for that program. But not only do they become advocates for Bold, they become advocates for the real work of what we do as real estate agents, which is what?
Lead generation.
Lead generation. And it doesn't matter how you do it. So I'm not saying that, so don't get confused about what Bold is. Bold is not, you gotta cold call people. Bold is not, you have to go to the mall and meet people and hand out your card.
Yes, Shad.
Now, you can do that, but bold is just bold is just as much about,
I'm kicked out of most stores right now.
bold is just as much about touching your database and being a high-touch, high-relationship agent as any other class that we've ever taught. There's a way to leverage the bold mindset in that. Examples of guys like Steve that do Buffini and stuff, but you guys do this stuff all the time. You know, the reverse, well, the thing you do with pies.
Reverse Popeyes.
Yeah, the reverse pop buys. There's some of the biggest prospectors in the company, the core. What's his name? The guy that teaches the major relationship marketing stuff, where he's like always having these big, huge
Josh
clients.
Sigmund.
Who?
Josh Sigmund.
Josh Sigmund. I saw him in Palm Springs at a
Yes.
retreat.
Yeah.
Ridiculous stuff. That he's like off the rails so far on how far outside the box he thinks to get leveraged opportunities to have a bunch of his people in front of him all at once, and in a high touch, high relationship way, get their business. And so when you talk about mindset and what you focus on expands, I want you to prospect, I want you to do what you're doing, but we're going to talk in coaching a lot about how to leverage your database in a high touch relationship way using the same mindset. Yeah.
And when he was new, he did exactly what Shad talked about last week. He went to gas stations, and when people were waiting in line
Yeah.
to pay,
Gas station.
instead of paying at the pump, he would go in and do
Yeah, in
exactly
fact,
what
Brent, will you
Shad
come
did.
up here real quick? Because I want you to, Brent brought cookies today.
That's right.
Brent
That's
from
right.
Summit Funding. Brent gets the last 15 minutes, and that's what I really wanted to segue into was coaching. Yeah, eat them up. There can't be any left. I wanted to segue into with coaching and lead generation and different ways to do it. Brent is a part of the core as well, and if you guys that are in coaching know that yes, we coach on the Keller Williams model, but we use a lot of the core stuff only because I'm a major advocate of that. So if you could go into a little bit about that and a little bit
Wait,
about some of the stuff that we're going to do.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Are you counting that as
Break bread?
Eight break breads?
Got it.
What is,
Well, you have to have
Of course he is. Of course, yeah.
Sorry, was there something specific you wanted?
No, I want you to talk about what you want to, but I also do want you to mention a little bit about the core coaching and stuff, and you and I talked a little bit about you and me actually coaching here as
Yeah,
well.
okay. So I heard a lot of good stuff already. I mean, bold, it sounds like, is really kind of in line with what we do at the core. Couple of weeks ago, we talked about how to generate more leads than you can handle from your sphere of influence, right? Your friends, your family, people that already like you. Except for Charles over here, most of us do not like to cold call, right? So I want to talk about another piece of another channel, and that is channel account. So the idea behind this is, yeah, it's great to get 1 or 2 leads a year from your friends and family, but the ultimate goal is to develop these channel accounts that are going to refer you like a closed transaction a quarter, right? Gold money, people that are gold money, people that just continually to refer you people. And sometimes you can get those people out of your friends and family. There's certain connectors out there who do that. But another really great source is businesses. And so I hate to cold call. I do like breakfast, but I don't like to cold call. And so I heard Roy talk about this last week, and it's a term called triangle for trust, right? And so basically what that is let's say Rick was talking about Cyan. Let's say you want to go after a business and you want to get all of their reloads or all of their people who are buying or selling or whatever. The idea is that you find someone who knows someone, and then you triangle that, you go right in and you transfer the trust that the person at Cyan already has for your friend or the person you know, so it's not a cold call. And by doing that, it allows you to get in and start developing these relationships without having to pick up the call and be in a cold call. And I've seen this work. I've seen people explode. One of the top executive realtor coach actually in the core did this and developed a relationship with the Orlando Magic, and she basically does all the new players that come in, all the coaches. that get hired, that get brought in, all that sort of thing. Another great source is builders. We don't have a lot of builders out here, but we do have some. And most of the time, these builders aren't getting contacted because everybody thinks, oh, you know, they're someone else's contact. They already have a relationship. Rick, you know about that, right? I mean, you had a pretty big development on Cherry Street, and Timo, I know, has done some of that. These big transactions, these big deals that are generating multiple lots and lots of stuff are going to people, right? They're not going to, you know, huge corporations. They're going to you guys. So why can't it be you, you know, or you, right? Any questions about that?
Yeah, how do you set up a channel account like that? Like, let's say you identify a target, you want, let's say I want to go after Cyan upstairs,
Right.
or so what do I do?
Yeah, so let's use as an example. Rick, you said you've done some transactions. So, you know, in my mind, the next thing would be to do was find the right person, the right client who is happy with you, or exceedingly happy with you, and ask them for an introduction to the HR person, or the CEO, or whoever is going to be, all of them, right? And schedule a meeting, and go in there, and you automatically build trust because the person is going to go in there and advertise for you. You don't have to pick up the phone and do a cold call because you have someone else doing it for you. I was trying to develop a relationship with Sonoma Mountain Village. They're not building yet, they've got some delays, but that's exactly what I did. I found someone who knew the CEO. It's impossible to get an appointment with him. He's the CEO of Coddington, Codding.
He probably doesn't even deal with that stuff, frankly, either. He's
No.
got people below him that,
He doesn't, so why would he want to talk to me? But I got a meeting with him,
yeah.
right? And he puts me in touch with the person who does deal with it, right? So you find someone who knows someone instead of picking up the call. I've had other times where I have done the cold call and I just call, you know, nothing. You don't get much from it.
That's where the LinkedIn might be helpful, right? Where they have the connectors,
Yeah.
so you can find out. If you
That's
find out
great.
who it is,
Yeah, that's great.
you can then loop back.
Yeah.
Who do I know that knows that
Yeah.
person?
Yeah.
Now, in this town, it's a small town. It's not hard to find. But if you're going after, you know, a national builder, or if you're going after a more of a major company, there's a lot of really good companies in this town that you can, you know, there's someone that you know that either works there or is friends with, or plays poker with, or, you know, swims with, or plays tennis, or whatever. It's not that hard.
I met Candace, the HR director at Scion, in the bathroom.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
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 Yes,
It's not
start
very
local.
taking advantage of being a woman is not.
Yeah, that isn't fair.
Yeah. You should have said, hey.
I'm not meeting men in the bathroom. I'm not gonna do it. I cannot stand you.
Perfect, you start here, right? It's not hard.
So I have a question about starting. So let's say you guys all have something in mind. You're like, you know what, great channel account would be the people I know at one of the big public courses or whatever,
Yeah.
or whatever you're gonna do,
Yeah.
right? And then you sit back in your chair and you go, okay, I gotta do that. So what do you need to do in your business to ensure that you'll do it?
Well, I think that's a really good point. The biggest and hardest stumbling block is identifying the target. I think that for me, just, you know, it all sounds great, and you were talking about Josh Sigmund. I mean, he's doing all these things and it's overwhelming. Like, he can
Yeah,
do
I
it, it's
remember
not
listening
me.
to him and writing stuff down, and all those notes are somewhere in a drawer.
Right, exactly. There's something about him that makes it work for him, but I could never do it, right? Right? So the hardest part is identifying it. So I think the first thing you do, you start easy, you start simple. You have to keep it simple. It's just like the system that I talked about 2 weeks ago. You have to keep it simple. If it's not simple, you're not going to do it. And so Cyan, is a great one because it's here. It's in your backyard.
Cyan, you guys are killing me
Or
here.
maybe-
It was really hard.
Or you can make it simple as well as just calling your past clients. They're slower
That's the
company.
next
They work for a
step.
slower company.
That's the next step.
Hey,
Yeah.
you know,
Go
they
through.
work for Kaiser. I mean, any past clients you have.
Go through your
It's simple, right?
database, and a lot of times you're not going to remember who they work for, right? But guess what? Your lender, I have all that information. I have everything. I know where they work. I
How
know
much they
what they
make.
do,
Yeah.
right? So,
You know the contact
Credit
person
score.
to verify their job, so they're.
exactly.
Yeah,
So
you know HR,
that,
yeah.
I mean, you hook up with your lender to find out, to where all these people work, and then you call them. And you just touch base and tell them, that you're interested in, talking to the HR person or doing more business, with the people at their company. And you start there with the people, again, that trusted you before.
I think, can I make a suggestion as
Sure,
well?
absolutely.
From a getting started start standpoint, obviously those are all great ideas, but for somebody like me, I need accountability.
Yeah.
I need somebody, in other words, I may decide in this meeting, like, you know what, I am gonna get a hold of the Zion guy and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then I walk out of here and who knows if I remember, I forget, I
Yeah,
just
phone
decide
call-
not to do it.
Phone call comes in.
Yeah.
for
Yeah,
sure.
exactly,
Business happens
right?
to you after
But
you
what
go
would
out.
happen if I went to Diana and I said, hey, I'm gonna call this, I'm gonna get a hold of
Yeah.
this sign, and I'm gonna do it within a week, and here's a check for $50. If I don't do it when check me, you get to cash that check, or you get to give it to my,
Yeah.
you get to give it to my biggest competitor or whatever. And because we've done that before, where
Yeah.
we've had accountability
Yeah.
partners.
I have
where
checks
it's
in my
actually-
drawer in the.
I have checks in my drawer too, right? So from other accountability partners, so you could decide to do that now. You could decide to do it right here in this meeting. This is what I'm gonna do.
Right.
And have some kind of action that kind of holds you to that accountability.
You guys, that's perfect. Thank you for that segue. It's a perfect point, and you guys have already talked about it. There's, and Keller Williams is doing stuff that other companies are with Bold and coaching. I'll tell you, when I started coaching, my business exploded, and yeah, I learned a lot of stuff that I didn't know before, but like my business was good before, and a lot of the stuff I already knew. But when you have someone keeping you accountable, you do the work. And so, whether it's having an accountability partner, hooking up with each other, or hiring a coach, you were talking about that, I don't think that there's anything better that you can do. Having someone keeping, and you were talking about your struggles and having too much, a coach works for that too. A coach is not just about helping you build your business, it's about keeping you accountable and helping you restructure your business so that you are going home in a normal hour and you are structuring your team so you can do all that stuff and have a good life, because that's just as important as being busy.
Do you guys know how that works in coaching? Role play this with me real quick.
Yeah.
So Brent's a coaching student in this role play, and Brent has said, I want to set up a channel account, and he likes he wants to get in touch with the HR departments of local corporations in the city of Petaluma that have more than 40 employees. So he's identified a target, right? And so, I'm going to say, great, so what's your plan for getting in touch with those people?
Well, I just figured that I don't know, look in the phone book, or I don't know. I just want to do it.
You just want to do it? Okay,
Yeah,
talk to your lender?
Why would I do that?
Well, they have a lot of information. Do you have anybody in your database that works for any of those companies, or knows anybody who works for any of those companies? Anybody you've worked for? in the
Yeah, I
past?
guess I could figure that out, so,
Okay.
yeah.
So the first thing you do is go through your database, find the people who are in any way connected to any of your target companies, right? How long will that take you to do that?
Well, I figure I could put together a list in probably a couple hours.
Okay, so will you fax me that list by 5 o'clock this Friday?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay, perfect. So, and then we write that down. That's his first homework assignment. Then we talk about, so what are you gonna do with that list?
So, okay, once I have the list, then I need to call everybody. So if I have 40 people on the list, the next week there's 5 days, I could call like 10 people a day.
Okay, and out of the 10 people you call a day, how many would you actually be able to contact?
Well, however many people pick up.
Okay, so what do you think that's gonna be? If you call 10 people, you think you're gonna get a hold of 3 or?
3 or 4.
Okay, so in 5 days, you can get a hold of 20 people?
Yeah. I
All
can
right,
do that.
so will you keep track of that on your call tracker and
Yeah.
send it to me on
Friday?
the Friday?
Yeah, I can do
week?
that.
Yeah. Do you guys see how that works? It's like if you worked for a company and you came to your boss with a great idea, your boss who's the CEO of a company, and you came to your boss with a great idea, and your boss is like, oh my God, Rick, that's an amazing idea. When can you have that implemented by? And then you have to figure out now, because now you sold them on something that you don't even know how to do it and when you're gonna get started. It's like, if you're gonna have a party, what's the first thing you have to do? Pick the date. Yeah, absolutely. If you're gonna, and then what do you have to do? And then you make a list of everything you need to get done. What do? You have a to-do list, you have, a store list, you have all that stuff, and you naturally make checklists, so why don't we do that in our own businesses? So a coach holds you accountable. They don't make you do stuff you don't wanna do, but when you pick something you wanna do, a coach makes you look at it like a CEO and then attack it like like the team of the CEO, right? And have completion dates and all that. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut in on your
Yeah,
stuff.
no, that's perfect.
Yeah, go if you have to go, Rick.
And the core, so for those of you who haven't talked about this with before, the core is a real estate and lending coaching program, so it's for realtors and lenders, and it's set up kind of like a professional football team. So it's a little bit, you're a little bit soft on me.
No, I know.
The core is a little bit, there's some yelling involved, but if you can picture, a football coach on the sidelines freaking out because his players are not running the plays the way he called them, right? Because we as students, and I won't project any of that onto you, but me as a student can get lazy and procrastinate, and I'm busy, and just like the stuff Rick was talking about. And so they get on you and they're like, no excuses. There's no excuses to make your calls. Like the stuff you're doing, right? That was awesome. Well, what if you didn't have the guy, I don't know how Bold is set up, but I'm guessing there was someone at Bold who you had to, when you showed up the next week, you had to, turn in a form or something and say, yeah, I did it.
You have a team, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So if you didn't have that accountability, there may have been a good chance that you wouldn't have showed up at that grocery store and done your 100 contacts.
I would have done it.
Right, exactly.
It's that simple.
Accountability is extremely important, and even for those of you who already have really good businesses, just think what it would look like if you could double or triple what you're doing. And I believe, you do Buffini.
I have a coach.
Yeah, exactly.
I've had a coach since 1999.
Exactly, yeah. So the successful people in this business have coaches. When you want to lose some weight and you want to go to the gym, what do? You hire a personal trainer, right?
Don't eat the cookie.
If you're having trouble in your marriage, none of us have ever had trouble in our marriage, but if someone were to have trouble in their marriage, what do? They go see a priest or a rabbi or a couples counselor, right? Anywhere in your life where you're having trouble, you hire a coach.
Or when you want to get better at it.
Yeah, right.
When you're serious about it, when you're serious about making a change, you hire a coach, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. For
And
accountability.
sometimes you're not really serious. Maybe you want to make change, but you're
And
not committed to doing it.
And I'll tell you what happened to me before I joined the Corps. I did coaching with another company called Building Champions, and they do real estate and lending coaching too. And I did it for a year, and I had one of their top coaches. He was awesome. I loved him. It's a little bit more like business therapy. The Corps is tactical. But I did it for a year, and things were getting good. I was getting busy, and so it was expensive, and I decided to kind of stop it for a while. So I stopped it, and a year went by, and I was doing so great, I got burnt out. I just got burnt out. And so I spent 3 months not prospecting. My business, it didn't go away, but it certainly decreased, and I just didn't know what to do. So what I do, I called the coach, I hired him back, and boom, my business just went up. And I learned that lesson, that even when you're doing well, you still need the accountability. It's not something, it's like a diet, right? You go on a diet, you lose weight. If you don't maintain your eating, you're gonna gain the weight back.
And then
Now I feel really guilty, but yeah, so it's something that you have to continue to do. It doesn't end. It's just like exercise. You continue to exercise. If you want to get good at tennis or swimming, you practice it. You got to practice your business.
Yeah, if you've ever been coached, but especially if you've ever coached others, what you finally realize about whatever field you're coaching in is that everyone really is getting what they want. Because you can tell what somebody wants by what they're willing to do to get it. And people talk a lot about what they say they're telling you what they want, but a lot of times they're telling you their dreams. They're not telling you what they really want, because when they learn what they need to do to get it, they either won't do it or don't feel like they can do it. Coaching takes that piece of it off the table, because it can be done. It's just about implementing a system that's going to get you to that level and working within systems that are that big, right?
And what Roy and I have talked about is setting up some coaching groups, and I know you're already doing that. If anybody's interested in doing that, it's a perfect thing to do after Bold, because you got to keep it going. Like, Bold is something that should keep going every week, right? I mean, maybe not drive down south, but you want to keep it going. So,
just from our standpoint as the broker, why wouldn't we want
Yeah, exactly right.
20 listings,
So,
41 deals in escrow?
My company, Summit Funding, the CEO, the owner of the company, looked at, last year was looking at something, our numbers or whatever, and he realized that 18 out of the top 20 loan officers in the entire company nationwide are being professionally coached somehow, either in the core or whatever. They're being professionally coached. So he said to himself, if 18 out of the top 20 loan officers in the entire company are being coached, why wouldn't we coach everybody? So they created Summit Coaching, which is it's a core style coaching program within Summit, and I coach 2 groups, and the way we do it is we have 3 people and me. I coach 2 groups of 3 people each, and there's competition, and they actually pay for coaching, but it keeps them accountable. And what it allows them to do is get core style coaching because they're not ready to be in the core. The core is a bit more expensive, and so Roy and I talked about doing the same thing here, about creating some coaching groups to keep you guys accountable and give you the tools so you can explode.
What do you guys think about that, if we did something like that?
How is that different from what you're doing now?
It's adding another coach and another head and another set of eyes and a different style and somebody who's like 2 heads are better than 1. We'd be swapping coaching groups back and forth rapidly, you know what I mean? So like 1 week you'd be coached by me, 2 weeks later for your next coaching point you'd be coached by Brent. Set stuff up like that, right? Not charging you guys or anything like that. That's not what we're talking about. What do you guys think about stuff like that? Yeah, I think having somebody, especially the fact that he's in the core and has been coached on the same stuff that we're doing.
One of the big differences is about the core and some of the other coaching companies out there is that every coach is actually in the business. And so they're doing it. So everything that they're telling me to do, that I'm getting guidance on and coached on, they're doing it too. And so, some of the stuff that we'll be learning and teaching and doing together, like I do it too. So I know exactly what you're going through.
And it's not a theory. It's
Yeah.
not like, oh, well, I heard this work, so I'm going to
Yeah.
make my coaching students do this.
Yeah.
It's like, we've done it.
Yeah.
So,
Cool.
yeah, cool. Any questions? Hey, Brent, thanks so much for
You're
supporting
welcome.
the meeting.
Thank you.